Hi, Daddy. Happy birthday. You asked people not to give you gifts this year. So instead of gifts, I collected some of your friends and family's favorite memories and stories with you, and they shared them through video. So that's what you're about to see. I hope you like it.
One of my favorite memories of Lou is his magic tricks. Like when I was growing up, he had these like special magic tricks. He would have me pick a card, and then he he would pull a larger version of that same card out of his pocket. Like I just don't even know. I don't know how that's possible. And then there was this other one where like there was some kind of I somehow an object would get through um, a solid barrier. It would somehow be on one side of the barrier, and then I don't know. It was magical, and he had some kind of rule I remember about like when he would tell me, and it was either like only when you get like sometime very far away, like when you get to a certain age or something like that. Or maybe the rule was even like, I will never tell you. I don't remember. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's time for me to check in about that because I would really like to know how he does those magic tricks.
Happy birthday, Lou. I'm so glad to be part of this gathering of your friends and family to celebrate your longevity. I've been asked to share a few humorous stories about our time together, and we've been together one way or the other essentially since 1980 something. And every time I thought of a story to tell, I realized that because I am your lay physician and therapist, it would require me to divulge some information that is protected by HIPAA. And so I'm not at liberty to share too many funny stories. There is one story, though. It was very funny. It was recent. And no, that involved an injury in the end. And then you swore me to secrecy. So I can't share that story either. What I can say, Lou, how thrilled I am to be part of your life, both professionally and as your good friend. And I look forward to many, many years together going forward. Happy birthday, Lou. 150 more. Stay healthy. I love you.
Oh, hey, Lou, it's Lou. How are you? Happy birthday, happy Hanukkah, happy everything. I wanted to tell my story of my favorite Lou Raveson moments. There are quite a number of good ones. However, there's one that's sticking up in my head right now. It's, we used to have all these great summers at Wellfleet. Oh, man, this angle is unflattering. But whatever. Uh, this is what LA does to you. Anyway, we used to have all these great summers in Wellfleet, and I remember there was this one time where a storm was about to start, and I decided that it would be a great time to swim all the way across the pond that we were hanging out at, and I know that Lou, that you were definitely worried about me getting like struck by lightning, and also of course I didn't tell anybody. You guys could just, I think, just see me swimming away, so you were like, "Come back," but I was way too far away. So, yeah, really, uh, I'm reckless and stupid is the moral of the story. But no, let's see. Then I made my way over to the other side of the water, and I found some random person with a cell phone because usually the way it works is you can't bring a cell phone in the water. And I called, and I had you guys, I think, pick me up, and everything was okay. We went back to Wellfleet, to the house, and had another dinner that couldn't be beat, at risk of quoting or sounding like Arlo Guthrie. And yeah, that was great. Anyway, just wanted to say I love you, and that we appreciate you and everything that you do. And very happy birthday to you. Not 69. You're like my age. All right. Happy birthday. Talk soon. Bye.
The bocce court is closed for the season. Whatever shall I do? Well, I'm going to sit here and think of some other use for the palina. And the bocce balls. Not sure it's equally exciting, but it'll keep me busy till the spring season arrives.
This one's from Unky, also known as Artie, who doesn't like technology. So he submitted this in writing, this story, and asked me to read it. So I'm going to read it. One of my favorite memories of Lou I have was a shared childhood adventure, traipsing to the local supermarket, probably an A&P, to buy a can of Chef Boyardee ravioli and cook it in the woods with our neighbor and childhood pal, the half-prodigy, half-Neanderthal throwback, Paul Tuna Sherman. Eschewing the more scenic and natural surroundings along one of the trails that ran through the woods, we walked along the uphill thoroughfare of busy Eagle Rock Avenue, finally arrived at a clearing in the park with a few scattered picnic tables, and immediately set out to build a campfire, something we'd never done before. After half an hour, we realized we had no idea what we were doing and had gone through our entire single pack of cardboard matches. My memory of the actual fire building is a little hazy, but some other, more experienced young hoodlums up there were cooking something and gave us a little help. With the expertise of those future arsonists, we were able to cook our first outdoor meal without the guidance of my dad, who usually lorded over our backyard barbecues, periodically warning me to stay away from the fire, while he nimbly produced a table full of scorched hot dogs and blackened burgers for the family and the occasional odd guest like his old pal Leon, or his longtime associate Al Fogel. But now, we were finally on our own. It was glorious. After fooling with the old-fashioned opener, I managed to remove the lid and finally dumped the can's contents into a saucepan I had swiped from my mom's kitchen earlier that day and stuck the pan into the fire. It didn't take long before we were eating the nationally advertised, mass-produced ravioli right out of the pan. We had forgotten to bring plates and had to pass the saucepan around the table while we dug in with my mom's prized silverware. Didn't know where she kept the regular everyday stuff, as I had never previously helped out in the kitchen. All this time, Tuna had been delicately holding on to one of those balsa wood rubber band-powered toy airplanes and had only let go of it, placing it on the table while we were eating. This was what he'd clearly been waiting for since we left our street, letting loose the cheap, flimsy toy and allowing it to crash into trees or dive for the ground like the kamikazes we'd watched in war movies on TV. At each successive crash, we'd guessed the poor plane was done for, but Tuna would delicately bend some part, tweak the clip holding the rubber band, or make some other unseen adjustment, giving the wobbly, bent-up piece of junk another chance at life. But finally, as the thing became a twisted, battered wreck, he held it aloft one more time and announced, "The last flight of the Tuckus Maruco," letting it soar heavenward with the used-up piece of junk immediately going totally out of control, spinning wildly, erratically taking an insane, fitful, abnormal trajectory before slamming into the ground and breaking apart. Everything up to that point had just been the build-up for the real goal, smashing the fragile little toy. Tuna's character was perfectly revealed with that statement and jubilant stance he took, delighting in a broken, completely smashed object. Lou and I could only admire that heroically uttered nonsense phrase, "the last flight of the Tuckus Maruco." That summed up a life badly spent, stirring up and inflaming antagonisms among our little gang of friends, fanning internecine neighborhood battles, suddenly whacking someone in the skull with a baseball bat, breaking into local homes, stealing Playboy magazines from Bella's, our local candy store, talking me into riding our bikes on Route 46, a state highway near Paramus, New Jersey, and finally shooting me in the ass with his new BB gun when I wasn't looking. I'd like to mention at this point his father, Eli's apparent lack of sound judgment in giving this apparently sociopathic youth a lethal starter weapon. But this was just another day in the life of Bromley Drive and its environs. I'm really glad I got to share it with my brother Lou. And I couldn't have planned those sirens for a better moment than talking about Tuna's delinquency. So that's from Unky. Happy birthday.
Whenever I think about Lou, I always think about how opening and welcoming he has always been ever since I was, a preteen. And I couldn't not mention the famous pasta fajoule that after the first time I had a dream about it. It really stuck with me. And it's something that we've had pretty much every year at Friday Thanksgiving, which has just been probably my favorite holiday tradition during the winter holiday season. And I was specifically remembering, I think it was either last year or the year before, where Lou played Werewolves of London on the piano, and everyone who was there was singing along, and it was just such a happy and joyous moment. And that was just one of the many great memories that I have, and one that I was specifically remembering. So happy birthday, Lou!
So I was very proud of myself because I had close up, because I had thought I did a video and sent it to be included, only to get an email that I apparently sent a blank email with no video. I want to let you know that the first video was very well produced, and I said brilliant things on it. But I threw away the script, and now I'm left with nothing to say that is brilliant. But I will say that I first met Lou Raveson when I was a student of his. He told me that he remembered me in his evidence class, and it wasn't because of my brilliance in the subject matter or my virtual recall at will of the federal rules of civil procedure, or my total understanding, in-depth understanding of every hearsay exception. It was because, as he says, I would whisper to one of my classmates during class, and we would both laugh. And that obviously must have scarred him deeply, because he remembers it and talks to me about it still today. I guess it's good to be remembered for something. I'm very proud that I know Lou, and even prouder that I have never mistaken Lou for Jack Feinstein or Stu Ball, although I have been with both Jack and Lou when they have been confused by someone for being Lou or being Jack. And I've been with Stu Ball when he's been called Lou Raveson. So, that just proves that old saying that all white people do look alike. Lou, just a word, one brief, serious word. In life, we come across people who we may not think we would ever cross paths with. And I'm grateful that our paths have crossed. You've assisted me in my life and career. You've shown a light in dark places for me to help me find my way. You've listened and been a shoulder through tough times. And for that, I will always be appreciative, and I will never forget that. Thank you. I really appreciate your friendship. And are we doing this 70 or 71 birthday thing? Because Is something wrong? Is there something that I haven't heard about? Are you not? I thought you were 69. Are you like not going to make it now? Um, Listen, my brother, happy holidays, many more. Thanks for your friendship, and I hope that when the before times come back, we'll be able to share a meal. Taking Nick will be tough. It's tough to eat with the Trumpsters, but if you want me to do it, I'll do it. And we'll have to go to Luigi's. Happy birthday, my brother. Be well.
Hi, Lou. Happy birthday. I don't have a specific story that I wanted to share, but I've just been reflecting on all of our wonderful times on the Cape and all of our Friday after Thanksgivings and just, all of our times together with both of our families. And I'm really looking forward to when we can do that again. And in the meantime, I hope you have a very happy birthday. Miss you.
Hi, well, Lou, happy birthday. Happy 69th birthday. I don't know how long these videos last, so I have to talk really fast. This video could be a month long, but I'm going to try to shorten it. We've had many, many events over our 56-year history. By the way, we met because in 7th grade, I sat behind Lou in many classes because his name was Raveson, mine was Raven, and we used to sit alphabetically. That was very creative back in those days. So some of my early memories, actually this one's not so early, this was in high school, when we were the four horsemen on the soccer field for the Mountain High Rams. It was me, Mantell, Raveson, and Lenny Backer. I think Fred was on the soccer team too, but he was what you call one of those wings because he was fast. So another great period of our lives was when we were managers for the great Mountain High basketball team. Initially, we became managers because that was how you could get out of gym. Actually, that's why we were on the soccer team too. But then the opportunity really presented itself because we used to cut oranges for the soccer team, for the basketball team, and we really loved oranges. So it was like 2 for us, 1 for them. And another great part of this basketball thing is that we were late in school every day because practice was after school. And we had this arrangement with one of the janitors who used to let us into the home ec room. And we used to go in there and help ourselves to the banana breads that were made that day and still a bit warm. That was a real highlight. One great memory was when Lou and I were cooking lamb chops on a Thursday night at his mother's house on Bromley Drive. And somehow or other, there was a big fire. And I think we learned after that you're not supposed to pour water on a grease fire. But it was after that. So we had a big fire. Fire engines came, smoke, the whole bit. Not a lot of damage. And luckily, Lou's mother wasn't home. Well, she came home, but toward the tail end. Okay, so one last thing, I think. There's so many. We used to deliver pizzas together. One time when Lou was the class president, there was an assembly, and there was going to be a raffle, and the prize was a TV. So I sort of said to Lou, hey, Lou, can you please pick me out for that TV? And guess what? He did. So that's about it. I could go on, as I said, for quite a long time. Lou, you've always been a good friend, 56 years and counting. We have another, who knows how long to go, maybe 20 years, maybe 30, maybe less or more. But regardless, we'll have some fun, Lou. Yes, we'll have some fun. Happy birthday. Bye.
Happy birthday, Daddy. One of my favorite memories, the first one that came to mind of time that we spent together when I was little, was sitting on the third floor at the desktop computer and playing computer games together, and all the different games that we discovered and got so good at after so many hours of practicing. And DX Ball is still one of my favorite games. I would love to find that again, but we would spend so many hours trying to beat those levels, and it was so exciting when we got to a new one. And the rest of the family wasn't so into computer games, so it was really fun to just spend that time, the two of us, working on DX Ball and Pop and Drop and Nancy Drew games, and then also Boggle, which we played a ton on the computer and would look up all the words we missed, which is part of what made me such a good Boggle player now. So that was really fun. And then I also loved when we would read together when I was little, and how we read all the Harry Potter books together, and then later reading Kurt Vonnegut books together. And when I was learning to read, how I always wanted to be able to see the words while you read them to me so I could read them too. That was also really fun and special. And there's lots and lots of more stories and memories that were very fun. And I still love playing Boggle together and all sorts of games online now that we have to do everything online. So I'm glad that we've found ways to keep playing. So, thank you for being my dad. Happy birthday.
Happy 69th birthday, Lou. Same year we started Antioch College together. And Lou and I have been friends ever since. We did a lot of things at college together. We did radio shows, played basketball, and occasionally went to one of Antioch's innovative classes like The Future Is Now. Antioch had a very unusual co-op program, and after our first co-op quarter, we were coming back to Antioch for our second academic quarter in the spring of 1970, and Lou was going to be a little delayed. So he asked me if I could register him for classes. I asked him what he wanted to take, and he said he had no idea, so just register him for everything. Lou was going to figure out which courses he'd actually take once he got back, but as it turned out, a few weeks into that quarter, 4 students were shot by the National Guard at Kent State, and students throughout Ohio and around the country went on strike. We never did finish that quarter, but the students demanded, and President James Dixon agreed to let everybody have credit for everything they registered for that quarter. So Lou wound up with a cool 86 credits for the quarter. Lou broke all records for credits at Antioch College, and by the end of his 3rd year, he was slated to graduate from Antioch's 5-year program in 3 years. He didn't know what he wanted to do next when an amazing job opportunity fell into his lap. President Dixon announced his retirement at the end of the spring quarter of 1972, and Lou knew what his next job would be: president of Antioch College. He submitted his application, but the trustees rated him clearly not suitable. Apparently, they thought their candidate should have experience in teaching and in the administration of a large institution. Undaunted, and with years of experience of bending the few rules Antioch had, Lou decided that they should change the standards. He was quoted in the Antioch Record as saying, "The position calls for someone willing to stick his neck out without being afraid for his professional reputation." As you all know, Antioch made the mistake of hiring someone else, leading directly some 30 years later to Antioch's closing and having to be rescued by the alumni. Meanwhile, Lou goes on to law school, saves a woman's right to choose in New Jersey, becomes a beloved law professor, and now, this year, he gets another crack at becoming president of Antioch College. I told Lou, you got to go for it. But this time we learned that Antioch was thinking of promoting someone from within to be president of Antioch. So Lou made friends with the new chair of the Board of Trustees of Antioch, Maureen. So he writes to her, "Dear Maureen, you mentioned that there are a couple of insider candidates for the position, either as interim president or otherwise. However, In rereading the 1972 Antioch Record article just now, it occurs to me that I just might be the consummate insider candidate of another sort. Lou, as you know, one of the things that I am happiest about, and I know you are too, is that not only have we been friends for 50 years, but our families have gotten to know each other too, and Molly and Lou and Izzy and Sophie have all become close as well as we have. And we know that you're going to go on to great things in your new job. And for all of you out there, just want you to know what Lou's vision is for the future.
The changes I'm going to make will be minimal. I'm not going to rock the boat. Rocking the boat's a drag. What you do is sink the boat. And there's no sense sinking nothing unless you can salvage with productive alternatives. And brothers, you can't change nothing with rhetoric and slogans. Because if a man's really got the truth in his pocket, he doesn't talk about it. He hangs it out on a shingle where people can see it. So from now on, the name of this agency is Truth and Soul. T.S., baby. That's right.
Happy birthday, Daddy. It's really impossible to name my favorite memories of you because it's been my entire life, but I'll just name a few that I was thinking about, which one was how you introduced me to Project Runway when I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I would come up to say goodnight to you on the 3rd floor, and you would be watching season 2 with Chloe and Santino and Andre, and I got to watch before the rest of our family started watching, and it was secret fun time. And I always liked Chloe best because she was nice, but you liked Santino best because he was funny, and ultimately I grew to love Santino best. And his impression of Tim going, "Where's Andre?" And I was also remembering how in high school when I had a lot of standardized testing, and in the nighttime you would make a good luck kit for me. So when I woke up, I had a kit of sharpened number 2 pencils and good luck charms like a tiny stone frog and a little cartoon about me doing really well at math or something. And that was really fun and special and made me feel very prepared and supported when I went in to take my test. And most dads would never have done that. So thanks, Daddy. Those were just a few fun memories, but I love you. Happy birthday. I'm glad we get to celebrate even though we're all far apart this year. Bobka, say happy birthday.